The valley sits in silence. It is a heavy, uncomfortable silence. Not the kind of quiet that feels peaceful, but the kind that feels empty. It is the dead of winter, and the snow lies thick and undisturbed across the vast, open plains. To the casual observer, it might look pristine, almost perfect in its whiteness. But look closer. Look at the riverbanks. They are crumbling, messy, and undefined. Look at the trees. There aren't any young ones. There are only old, gray sentinels standing guard over a landscape that has forgotten how to grow. For 70 years, this place has been missing a heartbeat. Without the apex predator, the large grazers have taken over. They are everywhere. Huge herds of elk and deer roam with an arrogance that nature usually punishes. They stand right by the water's edge, day after day, eating every single sprout that tries to poke its head through the soil. Nothing stands a chance. A willow shoot barely gets to see the sun before it is chewed down to the nub. An aspen sapling is stripped of bark before it can grow thick enough to withstand the wind. The land is being eaten alive, stripped bare by thousands of hungry mouths that have nothing to fear. The ground is beaten down. The soil is loose. Because there is no vegetation to hold the earth together with deep roots, the river wanders aimlessly. It eats away at the banks, widening and shallowing, turning into a muddy, sluggish mess. The water temperature is too high. The fish are struggling. It is a slow-motion disaster, a collapse of the entire system, all because one piece of the puzzle is missing. Then, the change arrives. It does not come with a storm or an earthquake. It comes in crates, carried by humans who are trying to undo a mistake made decades ago. The crates are opened. Paws hit the snow. Gray and black fur blends into the shadows of the tree line. The wolves are back. The air in the valley changes instantly. It is electric. The scent of predator drifts on the wind, a smell that hasn't been here for generations. The large grazers, the elk, lift their heads. They stop chewing. Their ears swivel. For the first time in their lives, they feel a shiver of genuine terror. The vacation is over. The first few weeks are a lesson in brutality and balance. The pack moves with a coordinated, deadly grace. They test the herds. They find the slow, the weak, the sick. The snow creates a canvas for the hunt. The predators do not just kill. They alter the behavior of the entire valley. This is where the magic happens. It is not just about the numbers of prey going down. It is about where the prey chooses to go. The herds realize very quickly that the valleys and the gorges are death traps. If they stand down there by the river, hemmed in by steep slopes, they have nowhere to run when the pack comes. So, they move. They abandon the riverbanks. They climb higher, to the ridges and the open spaces where they can see danger coming from a mile away. The valley floor, suddenly, is quiet. The constant chewing stops. The pressure is lifted. Spring arrives, and something miraculous happens. For the first time in 70 years, the green shoots along the river are left alone. The tiny willow buds open up. The aspen seedlings stretch upward, gaining an inch, then a foot, then a yard. It happens with shocking speed. Nature is resilient. It just needed a break. The bare patches of dirt that used to be trampled into mud by thousands of hooves are now covered in a carpet of fresh grass and wildflowers. As the trees grow, the transformation accelerates. The cottonwoods rise up, casting shade over the water. The willows become thickets, dense and impenetrable. This new vegetation changes the architecture of the light and shadow in the valley. And with the trees comes the wood. And with the wood comes the engineer. The beaver returns. For decades, the beavers couldn't survive here because there were no trees to build with. Now the trees are back. The beavers get to work immediately. They are the secondary architects of this new world. They drag branches into the water. They pack mud. They build dams. These dams create ponds still, deep pools of water that sit quietly away from the main current dot. These ponds become nurseries. Fish have a place to spawn, safe from the rushing current. Amphibians, frogs, and salamanders return to the cool, shaded waters. The population of fish explodes. The river, once a highway for water, becomes a complex neighborhood of different habitats. The ripple effect continues. The predators have left kills behind carcasses of the grazers they hunted. This provides food for the scavengers. The ravens return, their calls echoing off the canyon walls. The bald eagles swoop down to feed. The bears, who had been struggling, now find two sources of food. They scavenge the leftovers from the pack, but they also find something else. Because the berry bushes have grown back along the river berries that used to be eaten by the deer, the bears have fruit to eat. The bears thrive. The population numbers tick upward. The songbirds come back. The thickets of willow are perfect for nesting. The air, once silent except for the wind, is now filled with the chirping and trilling of warblers and flycatchers. The insects multiply near the water, feeding the birds and the fish. The web of life is being stitched back together, thread by thread. But the most shocking change is happening to the land itself. The physical geography is shifting. Look at the river again. It looks different. It is acting different. Before the predators returned, the river was a bully. It smashed into the banks, eroding the soil, causing landslides and spreading out wide and shallow. But now, the new forests are standing guard. The roots of the willows and the aspens have dug deep into the riverbanks. They act like rebar in concrete, holding the soil in place. The ground creates a solid wall against the water. The river can no longer erode the banks easily. Confined by the strong vegetation-reinforced banks, the water is forced to flow into a narrower channel. The flow speeds up. It scours the bottom, digging the channel deeper. The pools become profound and cool. The riffles become fast and oxygenated. The meandering stops. The river stabilizes. The erosion creates small islands in the stream, which are immediately colonized by more plants. The water becomes clearer because there is less dirt falling into it. The entire hydrology of the park transforms. It is cleaner, faster, and more dynamic. The predators, simply by being there, have stopped the valley from falling apart. They chased the grazers to the high ground, which let the trees grow, which held the soil, which fixed the river dot. It is a summer evening now. The sun is setting, casting long golden shadows across the valley. A moose stands knee-deep in a beaver pond, eating aquatic plants. A badger scuttles through the tall grass, hunting for ground squirrels that have returned to the stable soil. The wind rustles through a grove of cottonwood trees that are now 20 feet tall, trees that did not exist a decade ago. On the ridge overlooking it all, the pack rests. The alpha stretches, shakes the dust from a thick coat, and looks down at the valley. There is no way for the creature to know the magnitude of what has been done. The beast is just living, hunting, and surviving. But down below, the water flows in a focused, powerful current, winding through a lush, green landscape that is teeming with life. The balance has been reset. The presence of death has brought life back to the valley. The fear of the predator has saved the prey from eating themselves into extinction. It is a perfect, brutal, beautiful circle. The river flows on, guided by the unseen hand of the wolf, carving its way through a history that has been rewritten by the return of the wild dot. The night falls. The crickets start their chorus. The water rushes over clean stones. And then a howl cuts through the darkness. It is not a sound of horror. It is the sound of an ecosystem that is finally fully alive. The land breathes again. The water holds its course. The miracle is complete.